What's going on, sports fans? It's me again. What's going on, y'all? It's me, your boy Larry, coming right back at ya. I just had to say it's me again, because y'all know I was just here on Friday. And Friday, we had ourselves one of the best dang shows that we have ever had here on IE Sports Radio, celebrating IE Sports Radio's 6th year anniversary week. And I'll tell you, it was absolutely incredible. I am still in awe that I got to speak with the one and only John Force. Yes. If you did not catch the interview, please go back and check it out. It was amazing. I'll tell you, big ups to everybody who has supported us for the last 6 years now. And we are now into year 6. It all, I guess, I was going to say kicked off, but it all tipped off yesterday with Fast Break, of course, with Mr. Davidson Crooks and Mr. Dontarius Locke, as they brought you their thoughts on Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, as well. Or Last Dance, that is, sorry about that. And talk a little bit about basketball news, trying to get things back up and going. Oh, we can't wait to get back to racing, to get back to sports, get back to everything. But it's all good. It's for the greater good, y'all, and you know that's how it goes. If we gotta sacrifice our sports for now, for the greater good, that's okay. So today, we are right back at it. We are just like the NHRA, y'all. We get going, and we're full speed. We're gonna need parachutes to slow us down after every show, which of course we gotta throw those out on the racetrack. But I'll tell you, it's gonna be another good one today. I will be joined in just a few minutes here by my boy, man, my partner, Mr. Jonathan, Couch Crew Chief. And today we will have special guest, another funny car driver. What did you know? 2-time NHRA Funny Car Champion. And he has been deemed too much man for the car by our very own Caitlin Seam and Lolita Camello of the Extra Mile. We'll get to that in a little bit. Matt Hagan will be joining us today. Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. We're ready. Be ready, y'all. Jonathan and I will be talking to Matt Hagan, and of course talking a little bit about yesterday's crazy race at Darlington, the track that is just too tough to tame. And I'll tell you, it definitely was. And we got another one coming up on Wednesday. We talk some NASCAR, we talk a little Bundesliga, and we hopefully get more sports coming in the coming weeks. We got some IndyCar coming up, and hopefully everything continues to go well in the football season, and we just hope we get our sports back. If not, once again, y'all, for the greater good, that's what all that matters. With that said, y'all, be ready, because here we come. You are now tuned in live to the defining moment, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome, sports fans. My bad, I didn't know that ended so abruptly. I wish I'm gonna get a little more of a fader on that one there, on that track there. But yeah, anyway, y'all, I gotta love that groovy intro, right? What's going on, everybody? This is me, your boy Larry, coming back at you. What a crazy week it was last week. Thank you to everybody, y'all. I just want y'all to know, man, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for making our 6-year anniversary week here at iSports Radio so special, and thank you for making our 6-year anniversary show so special. All of you, everybody who tuned in, who was a part of it, who was on air with us, just talking sports, shooting the breeze. We couldn't appreciate y'all enough, and thank you for being with us. Unfortunately, over the weekend, I had a very big loss in my family, and it's really, it just is something that is bothering me up to the minute, and it'll just never go away. It won't ever go away. But, just like my other loved ones in the past, I gotta tell you right now, it never gets easier, but you just know that you'll see them again. And this past week, for everybody who follows me on Instagram and Facebook, I never mentioned anything on Twitter. Maybe I should put something up on there. But this past week, I lost a very close animal of mine. He was my little brother, basically, for the last 16 years. Somebody I grew up with, my little kitty, my Persian Himalayan LT. It hurts to think that we had to put my little buddy down, my little brother down, and he, unfortunately, he just got to that age. That's 80 years old in cat years, and he was 8 years and 2 months. Well, sorry, 16 years and 3 months. He was actually born on my birthday. In 2004, under my bed, when I was 15. On my 15th birthday, he was born under my bed. Our mama cat at the time had the babies under my bed, and it was awesome because I got the greatest gift ever, besides life itself, and my loving family, and of course God. But he was born under my bed, and that was Super Bowl Sunday. That was the first ever Super Bowl played in February. It just happened to fall on my birthday on February 1st, and it was an extremely beautiful thing. Him and I were so close, and it literally killed me. Almost did. I was lost. My gosh, I haven't cried so much in a long time, and I'm not ever afraid to or ashamed to say that I cried because I miss my kitty. But I gotta tell you right now, I'm happy that he's no longer suffering. He poor thing had a blockage in his system, and the vet just said that there was no way that they could even get him well. He was so depleted, and he was just so beat up. So the poor kitty. It wasn't like he was beat up. We had a beautiful life here, but I'm just saying that he was very depleted from this blockage in his system, and the vet just straight up said they couldn't do anything about it. And even if we did the surgery, they didn't know if he was going to make it. Even if they built him up with fluids, they didn't know if he was going to make it. And that poor little kitty, we knew that we didn't want him to suffer anymore, and as sad as it was to put him down, we did the right thing, and I know that I will see him again. So I just want to take a moment of silence here for my little kitty, because I love him very much, and it's hard to not tear up right now. But I gotta be a big boy, and deliver the show. But I just wanted to say that I love you, LT. I miss you, little brother, and I will see you again, along with Grandma and my dad. So, T, this is for you. Rest in peace. I love you. Thank you all. I am just, like I said, I'm beside myself. I've been for the last couple of days, but yeah, as our colleague here at iSports Radio would always like to say, Mr. Terran Rodriguez, the show must go on, and I'm bummed that had to be a thing that happened, but I'll tell you what, I know that he's in a much better place. A lot like my Thea said, he's running and jumping and youthful again, and I know that we will all be restored when we get to heaven one day in God's everlasting kingdom of heaven. So I just want to say, all glory to God. That's right, y'all. All glory to the man above, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. For without him, nothing is possible. And of course, big ups to all you fans out there, all you listeners out there who make this thing happen. And really, thank you all for your support, because this has been a very tough weekend for me, and I just really appreciate you all for your love and support and your kind words. So, thank you all. I appreciate you all. And Terrence says here, good afternoon, Jonathan, Larry, have an amazing show. Glad I got home, get some time to tune in. Hey, I'm glad you were able to tune in too, brother. And I'm glad you were able to tune in too, brother. And he says, may your cat, LT, rest in everlasting peace. All pets go to heaven. My condolences to you, Larry B. Hey, thank you, man. He put a little heart emoji. Thanks a lot, Taryn. That means a lot, brother, and I appreciate you, man, for saying that. So thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for your support, man, and for everybody out there. And I believe all animals go to heaven as well, man. So with that said, all right, so let's this one's for you, T. This one's for you, TT. So here we go, y'all. Let's do our thing. Well, they all are, in my opinion. And for my grandmother and for my father. So they're all in here, right in my heart, where I'm patting right now. But with that said, y'all, let's get things going today. We got ourselves a two-time NHRA champion coming on in to today's show. It's going to be a fun one. I hope y'all are ready to go, because it's going to be a whole bunch of fun. So with that said, y'all, we're going to take ourselves a short break. And when we get back, we will have on live with us the two-time NHRA Funny Car Champion himself, Mr. Matt Hagan. You are listening to The Defining Moment right here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome in to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and you're listening to IE Sports Radio. If you like big, nasty hits, if you like slap chop straight to the neck, if you like it when the gloves hit the ice and the big boys get down, then this is your show on IE Sports Radio. This is the Neutral Zone. May our shots on goal always be true and straight to the net. If they are not, may they be followed up, redirected, or change collected. Let's go on IE Sports Radio with me, your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and this is the Neutral Zone.
Motorsports takes many forms, and there's one show on IE Sports Radio that's ready to cover it all.
I sure hope you're talking about you and I, Daryl, because I know the Extra Mile is the best place to go for everything motorsports related.
Yes, it is. From NASCAR to IndyCar to sports cars to everything in between, IE Sports Radio has everything covered for the fastest sport in the world.
Plus, don't forget all of our random shenanigans along the way.
That's right, Caitlin. So for plenty of motorsports coverage and plenty of Caitlinisms, check out The Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Caitlin Seen, Thursdays at 8 p.m.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back up. See, I didn't catch it right at the end of that, but it's all right. Give me a little interest music coming back in here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the show. Once again, you are listening to the defining moment right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll tell you what, y'all, this has been, I know it took a little bit longer to get back on air, but I don't even care, because that was probably some of the coolest off-air time I've ever had speak with anybody, because we got the two-time NHRA Funny Car Champion here on the line with us, and I'll tell you what, speaking with him for just a few minutes already reassured me of how awesome this interview is going to be. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get on into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming the one and only two-time NHRA Funny Car Champion and the dude who has been deemed here on IE Sports Radio too much man for the car. He was literally lifting weights waiting for us to give him a call. That is how much of a beast this guy is, and trust me, in the car he's the same exact animal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Matt Hagan. How's it going, Matt? How you doing today, man?
What's up, guys? I'll tell you what, we need you to announce for NHRA, brother. I mean, hell, I think everybody's got egos out here, but they'd have bigger ones if you was announcing for them, man.
Hey, man, I could imagine. I could definitely imagine. But I appreciate that, and you know, it's an honor. It's an honor to have you, but also at the same exact time, it's an honor to even say those awesome things about you. Because I mean, just be real here, Matt. It's the truth, man. I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't think at any stretch of the imagination that I stretch the truth right now. I think that is all very accurate what I just said about you, buddy. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I tell you what, I've learned very, very early on in life that with business and with motorsports and playing ball and everything else, it's like, you know, you put your great people around you and great things happen, man. And that's what I've been able to do, is surround myself with just amazing, hard, you know, working, driven people that are goal-oriented. And really, you know, they put great race car underneath me, and, you know, they really made me shine, man. Like, I've been blessed to be with 2 different crew chiefs and win 2 different championships, and fired up and had a few world records we set and stuff like that a bunch of times. But, you know, I'd love to sit here and say, man, you're right, you know, but really it really comes down to the people that I've surrounded myself with, man. And like the, you know, they drive me and I drive them. And, you know, a lot of times people, they're like, man, you know, you go 330 miles an hour and you're not scared of nothing. But you know what I'm scared of truly, what disappoints me the most is when I let my guys down. So, you know, that drives me to be better, and they expect a lot out of me. So that kind of pushes us all forward. And that's really why I've been successful in business and life and you know, in motorsports and everything else, is I've surrounded myself by people that are smarter than me, that work harder than me, and more driven, you know. So, and then I got to rise to the occasion from there.
Man, I hit the applause button for you, man. I know you can't hear it, but I hit the applause effect is cheering for you right now, because I tell you what, that's exactly, to me, that is the perfect formula, because it's true. You know, you can be the best that you can possibly be and do everything you can do, but at the same exact time, if you don't surround yourself with good, positive people who are doing the same exact thing as you, who are trying to help you out, who are trying to push for a common goal, a common cause. I mean, if you don't surround yourself with those people,
it's like you guys growing your show here, man. Like, you know, you surrounded yourself with great people that reach out, got an interview set up, and then you're killing it on air. Like, that introduction was amazing. You know what I mean? So it all goes around, man.
I really appreciate that, and thank you. And hey, we're doing our best here. And like I said, that's what it comes down to when we go ahead and reach out. Jonathan here, of course, doing his best, getting some big names in here, reaching out. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, as Jonathan said when we were off air, you can't be afraid to reach out. You can't be afraid of rejection. But then again, the same as that time when you get awesome okays, and yeah, we'll all do it. Much like yourself, we are always so very grateful and blessed for that. So, with that said, Matt, thank you for joining us. So this COVID virus.
Yeah, glad to be here, man.
Hey, glad to have you here. Really, I'm so excited. So let's jump on into this thing, shall we? So this COVID virus, man, this thing has shut us all down. It's annoying, seriously. So first and foremost, you have your family. Plus, you have Matt Hagan Outdoor Store, Hagan Cattle Company, and True Harvest Hemp Farms. So I guess the first question is, have you really had any downtime?
No, brother. I've been going nonstop, and I've been hiring people, you know, left and right, and trying to keep the payrolls going and stuff. And you know, it's just that time of season right now for us. I mean, we're obviously looking out and you know, sending prayers up to those folks that with this nasty virus and the folks that have been, you know, lost by it. But you know, we in the agricultural industry, you can't stop, man. I mean, you're feeding America, and you know, a lot of it has to do with like our planting season with the hemp and then my cattle stuff. We got a lot of hay going on, and we got, you know, the grocery stores have been empty, and we've been supplying beef for people and stuff like that. And you know, it's just like, you know, as much as the world is shut down, you know, we're still running hard, you know, and it's tough because, you know, I mean, like anything, you feel for all the folks that are, you know, I mean, I got lots of friends that are bartenders and waitresses and, you know, restaurant owners. And, I mean, we own a restaurant ourselves. My family, we got like 42 companies and over 970 employees between me and my father. And, you know, and he's got the majority of it, obviously. But it's one of those things where, you know, I've seen all sides of it, you know what I mean? From just because one thing's going great, it means something else is bad over here. So we've been very diversified with a lot of stuff. But I tell you what, man, it's just, you know, the things that I've been focused on has just been nonstop, not enough hours in the day. And you know, and then the NHRA is trying to get together a schedule to where we're going to probably try to run 18 or so races in 3 months. And, you know, it's going to be crazy, man. So I'm trying to get all the work I can done right now at home between the farm and the cattle and the hemp. We're planting hemp right now and turning ground, and, you know, my greenhouse stuff going, and we're selling clones, you know, just all that kind of stuff. And then this Hagan Cattle Company just opened up, and then I have shut down my outdoor store for now, just because, you know, like everybody comes to the same register and cashes out the same. So we thought it was in our best interest to do some of that kind of stuff, and just try to protect our community a little bit, even though that we want to sell and make money. Yeah, sometimes you got to put that on the back burner and do what's best for the community and stuff like that. But but other things in my life anyway are going good, and I'm trying to learn some of my father's businesses and dealerships and stuff. He owns 12 new franchises of car dealerships and, you know, excavation companies and real estate companies and housing companies and yada, 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 man. So I'm just trying to take it all in and learn and be a sponge a little bit sometimes and keep my mouth shut and soak up all I can, but staying super busy, man, and just kind of trying to figure out what NHRA is going to do to figure out our schedule and move forward and our sponsorship. I got some new sponsors on the hook that I'm really trying to, like, you know, splash in here. And, you know, it makes it tough because, you know, you don't want to be talking about a new sponsor coming on board and people are dying from a virus and stuff. And so it's kind of like trying to figure out how to do some of that stuff and make it look good for them and still be, you know, respectable with all the stuff going on in the world and everything else, you know. And so, but eventually we all got to get back to normal life, you know what I mean? Like, we can't let something keep us down forever, you know. I mean, as Americans, that's just against our nature, you know.
Where's that applause button? I'm sorry, here it goes again. Applause button. Thank you. That's right. Hey, you know what, man? That's it. These are my colors. I red, white, and blue forever. And you're absolutely right. You can't be an American and not and have a quit mentality. I guess it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm with you. I understand that, and I'll tell you something. The big thing, I mean, all of that was incredible, and I took so much. Like, seriously, that was incredible. That was an awesome response. But I'll tell you what really got me was, you know, you saying, dude, what's in the best interest? And that sucks, man. That I would love for your store to be open, but the problem is, I wish I lived close enough to go to it. Man, I would be a regular. But the problem is, I would.
Come on with it, man. That's right, the road trip, you know.
But, absolutely.
But you do have to look out for other things, you know what I mean? Like, it's you have to be respectable to, you know, what's going on, and you know, it's kind of like, do we do more online stuff, or do we really open up the doors? And, you know, I mean, I only really reason got the business open to keep the couple people I got employed there, and, you know, I mean, I'm not getting rich and selling off on my boat in the sunset with it, you know. It's just something that supports some people, and, you know, you make a little bit of money and move forward. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, what do you know, there's always such a fine line with what people feel is acceptable and what you can and can't do, and you know, but at the end of the day, like I said, man, you know, I mean, this is America, you know what I mean? And it's not China, and we're not a dictatorship. And, you know, we're, you know, back in the day, you rode out here on a horse and stuck a stake in the ground, and that was your land, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of, you know, and that wasn't that long ago, you know? So, you know, I think we got to keep that in perspective a little bit of, like, we are still Americans, we are still free, and we fought for what we got, you know what I mean? And we got to fight our way back through this too, you know?
Absolutely. That's just who we are. We are fighters, and I could not agree more. And I love the response. Cause I feel we share that exact same mentality, and I think that's an awesome. Like I said, if I didn't live so dang far away, I'm literally, my gosh, Matt, I'm what, maybe 40 miles away from Pomona. So I'm right here in Southern California.
Oh, so you're the other side of the world, man. Yeah.
Okay. I'm over here, man. I'm over here by the track that you start and finish at, you know? So,
man, I tell you what, that track is amazing. Like, you know, it's a little rough around the edges, but there's so much history made there, man. Like, you know, you start and finish, and champions are crowned there, and Pomona's just, I mean, it's just an amazing place. And I've done really well at Pomona. I mean, it's one of those deals where sometimes you head in these racetracks and you're like, dude, I don't know what I got to do to win a race here, but I mean, you couldn't buy one if you had to, you know. And then there's other racetracks where you just show up and you're like Epping, New Hampshire. I mean, I won it 3 years in a row, and it's kind of like you just, like, it's your place, man. You know what I mean? When you roll in, things just click, and your car runs well, and the chassis works there, and, you know, just kind of stuff like that, you know. So it's kind of, you know, Pomona, though, is one of those racetracks where we've always really ran well there, even though it's kind of like a John Force hometown, and I get flicked off and booed a lot of times coming down through there when we win there. But, you know, that's just, I love that too, you know what I mean? Like, that's just racing, man. They either love you or they love to hate you, you know. And that's what's good about rivals and stuff, you know. I mean, I've been, you know, I'm very, very blessed. I have a lot of respect for John Force, you know, for the guy who's 16-time world champion. But, you know, in the mix of my career so far, I won a couple championships against him, and, you know what I mean? Like, people either love that or they hate you for it, you know. But I really wouldn't want to live it any other way. It actually put me on the map, just mixing it up with the guy, you know, and you know, being able to duke it out with him and win some, and he won some against me, and, you know what I mean. So I know one day, hopefully, if I make it there, sit back on a rocking chair, just kind of kick back and be like, man, you know, he's one of the huge legends of the sport, you know, along with, like, the Snake and Shirley and all those folks, you know. But, like, John's right there, you know, with them all, you know, and to be able to kind of, you know, take some of those championships that, that he has, and he took some for me, and back and forth, so it's just kind of, it's cool. Like, I love Pomona, even though like that's his home track and his home crowd, so you get a little bit of that like lashback. I had guys come up to me and they're like, Hagan, I'm like, yo man, what's going on? And they're like, you suck, Hey man, like, what am I supposed to say to that,
that sucks. But hey, you're not getting that from me. I'll tell you right now. I love the heck out of you. I mean, really. Okay, let's just be real here. No joke, man. I am beyond blessed. This has been such an amazing weekend, man. At the same exact time, a painful one. Unfortunately, I had to put my kitty down after 16 years, man. He was like my little brother. We got so close.
Oh, man.
And it was
you get attached to the animals, man.
Absolutely, you really do, and it got me. But he's in a much better place, and we're going to be getting ourselves another little kitty soon here. But I'll tell you what, we just celebrated our 6th year anniversary here on IE Sports Radio. We kept this thing going on for 6 years.
Man. Congrats!
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And on Friday night in the last hour, wouldn't you know it, the great Jonathan here, our booking agent, he surprised me, man. He managed, of course, to get on the legendary John Force. He called in and we had a great conversation on Friday night, and I teared up, Matt, because you know what, man, the reason why I'm a Matt Hagan fan begins with John Force, because I was a little bitty kid. I was watching the NHRA with my dad. My dad was a mechanic, and he said the NHRA was my dad's everything. That was his sport. That's what he loved. He didn't care about anything else. Yeah, he loved a little stick and ball sports here. He loved his Raiders. I'm a Raider fan. He loved his Lakers. I'm a Laker fan. He loved those. But at the end of the day, NHRA was his crown jewel, and he just, as a mechanic, he ate it up. And John Force was his guy. And I'll tell you what, I became a huge John Force fan at a young age. But then what happened? I started to eat up the NHRA like a bowl of Cheerios on a Saturday morning in front of the TV like a 7-year-old. I ate it up, and I began to love all these different tracks and drivers. And like I told you, you were a part of that. I was like, oh man, look at this guy, Matt Hagan. Look, he's a dang ox. Like, he's bigger than the car is. Like, man, like, he's a big dude. And I guess,
man, I get some slack over that for sure, man. But it's kind of funny. Like, me and Robert Height, we're probably the two biggest guys out there, and as far as weight wise or whatever. And but man, I think a lot of it comes down to we get away with it by sitting over the rear end, and being able to transfer that weight back onto the rear end. And, when a funny car versus a dragster, we're sitting out in the middle, and that weight's really important because it's trying to bow up in the middle and different things like that, and moving the weight around. But I look at me and Robert, and we're probably the two fastest guys out there as far as throwing down on records and, back and forth. And I think I was the first ever in the 3 seconds and the 380s, and me and Robert run side by side 370s, and he beat me there for being the first out the next lap. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what I'm saying is we've just been throwing down, and we're two of the bigger guys in the sport. So it's kind of like, when these crew chiefs talk all this losing weight, and I was like, when have you ever had, you don't have any more power, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those deals where you're just like, I was like, wake it up, man. Come on with it, I'm like, I'm still going to eat my steak and potatoes,
Yes! Hey, I'm right there with you. I'll tell you something. I think you could appreciate this. Me, as a semi-pro football player, I'm still working hard. I'm 31 years old, and I'm still giving everything I got to at least make a practice team in the NFL. I don't care. I'm freaking 5'9", 230 pounds, but I am an absolute beast. And I'll tell you something. I'm so proud of this, man. I know something. I know that you, I appreciate that. I know you already surpassed this mark, and I don't got to throw out no numbers, but I just got to say, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago today, for my very first time in my life, this is a number that Matt Hagan looks at and goes, I remember my first beer. But, I hit 405 for the first time on bench press, man, and I was so proud of myself because
that's awesome, man. That's a lot of weight, dude. Like, a lot of people don't understand 405. That's like, trying to get your elbows and your wrists and everything else to keep up with your body mass, your tendons and everything else. I mean, that's impressive. That's a lot of weight, brother. I mean, it's, I don't even know what my maxes and stuff are. I work out with 3 plates, and, it's just one of those things where I've gotten more into more reps and, moderate weight than I have anything, trying to push, 1 or 2 reps or something like that. But, I got to talk, and I'm really good friends with Flex Wheeler and, those guys over there a little bit. And, just kind of like, he was just all breaking it down about just really pushing the blood in and tearing down that flesh, and, the whole, just pushing his blood in the muscle fibers, and he's like, you don't have to, go so heavy. But, it's just, everybody's different, man. Like, I guess if there's an answer, everybody would be bodybuilders, but it's kind of a lot of it's genetics, and a lot of it's, what you eat and sleep and recovery and everything else. But I've really gotten to where, and a bit injury-free, doing more moderate weight with more reps than just getting after that heavy stuff like that, man. I'd love to be able to, I don't even know what I'd do with 4 plates on there, you know what I mean? I was like, shit, I don't know, I'm going to grab this thing, man. But, that's awesome, brother.
Hey, I thank you for that. And I'll tell you what Matt Hagan would do with 4 plates. I think you'd rep that out for at least, 10, 15, maybe 20. I'm just saying. Looking at you.
I'm 37. I'm getting up there on that old age, man. I grab 3 plates on there. I'm just like, it starts shaking a little bit. I'm like, yeah. Quit trying. Ain't nobody here to show off for it no more. You know what I mean? So, just keep pushing some weight.
I get you, man. So real quick, I do, because I'm very interested in the other side of Matt. We all know the Matt Hagan who goes out there and wins. We all know that Matt Hagan. I know that Matt Hagan very well. But the other side is something that a lot of people just don't see, and I just found such a big interest. So I gotta know, when did you get into cattle farming, and what was the drive to start that?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, man. I'm a first-generation farmer, and I think my dad kind of expected me to just end up in the car business or something like that, or we develop a lot of homes and different things like that, and just kind of follow that path. But what really happened was I went out here and I bought 100 acres to live on, and at the time the housing market was just crap, man, and I couldn't get my place sold and to build a new base. And I was like, man, I don't want to bush hog all the place and keep it clean. And so I was like, I'll just put some cows out there and call it good. I had a place out around it, so did that, and then ended up buying a tractor, and then you got a cutter, and then just making the feed and stuff. And I'm like, well, hell, I'm doing this. So one thing led to another, and I look up now, and over the last 15 years, I'm up to like 3,700 acres and 800 mama cows, and you're going like, how did this happen? But, you have, just kind of one of those things where it's just progressively, happens. Like I've been living off of my racing money and just letting the cattle side of things, they pay for themselves, and they make the land payment. So it's just kind of like, why not? If you go out here and find land that's, reasonably priced and got some good fencing on it, and, cattle, you're never going to get rich in that business. You're splitting pennies to make dollars, but it's just something I truly enjoy, and it's going to do to, race and win one day. And, I try to get my boys to play golf or something, just because like you can do that until you're 90 years old, and but like the racing will end and all this other stuff that I got going on will end or change. But, the farming side of things, I think like, it'll be there, because I just enjoy it. And, I got a great relationship with New Holland, and they're hooking me up with stuff and different things like that. And, it just kind of flows and makes sense. And, something that I hope that, can get paid off in my racing career, and then one day hand down to my kids. And, I got 4 kids now, and, just being able to give them something, you know what I mean? Like being able to leave this land that's paid for, and this cattle and equipment, different things like that. Now, if they sell it and chop it up and whatever, that's up to them. But like, to me, that's kind of like what I want to leave to them, and making sure that they can, have a place to go build a home or do something like that, or, whatever, and that's kind of like my mindset with it, is just like, allow something to develop while I'm racing and on the road and gone, and it's like my dad, he worked he went in at 7 in the morning and come home at 11 at night. I did see him. I was like pissed when I was younger. I was like, man, this dude doesn't come to my games and this and that and everything else. But now he's able to help me out with so many other things with his businesses and do different things that I'm very grateful he worked his ass off and got to where he was in life to be able to do some of that. So hopefully my kids, I love racing and I love being on the road and I love our fans and our sport. But, it takes away from my kids and my wife and my family and stuff. But, hopefully one day they look up and say, okay, you did that, but now we're able to do this, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And man, I'm loving this interview. This is awesome because it's great. This is so great that we get to see, I'm telling you, the other side is awesome. And I love that you said you want to leave something to your children. You got 4 of them. That is amazing. Congratulations to you. And I'll tell you, that is a beautiful thing that
I don't know what keeps causing it, brother. It all happens when I'm off and during the off season, man. It's like, I don't know what keeps causing me to have kids. You know what I mean? I think there's like a 3 months off that we get for some reason.
Right?
They're all born in October, November for some reason.
It's got to be in that time, like you said, you're on the road a lot. So in the NHRA, man, that is an unforgiving season. You were on the road. The season starts in February, ends in November. I mean, that is incredible. You guys are just, it's something. But I'll tell you. So you're in hemp farming now. You said, how was that to get started? What makes True Harvest unique, and when will products be available?
Yeah, so we're right now. I've been almost 2 months now with credit card processing, and they consider it high risk. So I'm just having a hard time. I got 4 different apps in with 4 different merchants, and I just can't get anything to go right now. They're worried about SPACs and everything else in the gray area with it being hemp. And I don't know. We're working hard on. I got product ready to go, and I got a lot of fans that are wanting our product out there, and they know because they've seen it grow from plant to pure product basically, and they're like, let's buy this stuff, man. So unfortunately, there's a lot of red tape to jump through and a lot of loopholes or whatever. But we're getting there. I'm about a week away, I think, from being able to have a merchant service online to be able to push our product out there, and all the labeling and tinctures and bottles and muscle creams and all this other stuff is available. We just gotta be able to take people's money. You know what I mean? But we want to do it the right way. So. We've been telling everybody just hang tight. Unfortunately, it's been a couple months coming, but at the end of the day, it's it'll be done now, and everything's going to be under the right guidelines, and not looking back and just kind of roll through it after we get going. But the hemp side of things, man, like it's really near and dear to me. Like my brother, I lost him 3 years ago to opioid addiction. Basically, he had scoliosis and he got on painkillers, which is Oxycontin. He had a spinal surgery, and they put 9 pounds of titanium in his spine to basically straighten him up, and then he got on these painkillers with Oxycontin, and then he lost his leg. He basically sat around with those things and was on a dose basically big enough for a terminally ill cancer patient, which they took the lady's license that was prescribing it to him. But anyway, that being said, it's kind of one of those things where hemp is something that you can help people manage their pain, inflammatory. CBD products are great for, just rest and recovery and, pain management, different things like that. So, I wish and would have loved to got him involved in some of that versus these opioids and stuff like that. So, if we can manage people's pain with like CBD and full spectrum tinctures and different things like that, I think that you're changing people's lives and you're saving people's lives, whether you like it or not. It's, I take it every day. I had a couple MRIs in the last 2 years, so I've had some wrecks and racing and stuff, and I just got 3 discs in my spine. They're like, look, dude, you need to have infusion, and you're either going to have to do it, or you're going to have to quit your career, or you're going to have to be on painkillers. I'm like, well, I can't be on painkillers, and I'm definitely not quitting racing. So you just deal with it, man. You just kind of bear and grip every day, and it is what it is. So but started taking the CBD myself before I even was growing it. And, I was like, man, this stuff really works, So it was something I got interested in and started doing it. And I was like, well, I got all this plan, I have an opportunity to do this. So, like, I'm going to do it. Like, I know it works because I've tried it and I take it every day. And so, just started getting into it like that and just kind of really got more involved with it. We grew 100 acres last year, and we've done, 10 or 15 acres of smokable flower, and we got a bunch of oil and a bunch of products ready to go. And it's something that, I've got my whole family involved with it, my dad and other people, and it's just been a really good thing, and it's just, it's really just kind of nice to know that it changes people's life. It's not like some snake oil, and it's not just, here today, gone tomorrow kind of stuff. And, unfortunately, it's not like there's a lot of regulations on it. So some people do just they're buying stuff that I just have coconut oil in it instead of real CBD, or, like, oh, this didn't work for me. But, when I put my name on something and I know I've grown it, I know it's in the bottle, that's something that I'm proud of, that, I really know what goes out the door is going to help people,
That is awesome. That is
absolutely, Matt. I'll tell you straight out, I love everything you just said. I started using CBD oil a little while back just because I had just like crippling anxiety, and it was one of those things where people were like, give this a try, see if it helps. So I tried that, and I'll tell you what, it's made a world of a difference in my life. Just day-to-day activities, everything is so much easier for me, because the anxiety doesn't control me anymore. It's such a huge thing.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those things where I think, people wouldn't be paying the money that they're paying for this little 30 ml tincture if it didn't really work, and that's something that I'm not happy with in this sport. I mean, not the sport, but the industry, is that, people are overcharging it for it, you know what I mean? Because, I know what my true costs are on this stuff and then what people are selling this stuff for, and it's ridiculous, so that's something else that I'm going to try to correct, is these margins that these people are making. They got stuff marked up 5X, man, and it's just not right, so that's something else that, because I don't have any money owed on it, and we got piles of oil and piles of product and stuff like that, we're putting our product out there at a real price. We're really competitive to just make enough to pay my people and move on with life. I'm not trying to get rich on it. I want to be able to offer somebody some stuff that they're like, man, this is reasonably priced, this really works for me, and it's a good product, and that's why I think that a lot of this stuff, a lot of these guys are just all trying to get rich quick, scheme, and they mark stuff up, and it's unfortunate that a consumer falls in their lap like that, but they don't know where else to really source good stuff, and so that's something else I want to try to adjust with our products, and going in front of these consumers and really them feeling like, wow, I'm really getting what I'm paying for here,
That's something that I noticed when I was looking on your website, because I was looking up the tinctures and stuff like that, and I noticed that your prices are, they're far and away better than, throughout most of the industry, honestly. So it's something where I'm definitely excited, when you come out with that line. I mean, I'll definitely be a purchaser, that's for darn sure.
Oh, right on. I appreciate that, man. Well, and it's something that, for me, I think a lot of the folks that follow my Instagram and stuff like that, they can see, where it started off with us, turning ground all the way to harvesting to, making the stuff and putting it in a bottle, so it's kind of cool when you have that, correlation where you can see it all happen through Instagram like that, and then be able to purchase it and know what you really have,
Absolutely. And that, I noticed on your Instagram, I mean, you're very involved. You show everybody everything, for your life, just the cattle ranch to even this weekend I saw you were putting Pennzoil in your, I believe it was your brother's Camaro. So it's one of those things that I thought was awesome to see, that Matt Hagan uses everything he promotes. It's not just a line.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, obviously we have sponsors and they pay the bills, but I'm very blessed that the sponsors that I do have, like Pennzoil, man, like they really truly did formulate a product for our Fuel Funny Car, and you're going like, man, like where's this stuff coming from? You know what I mean? To be able to last with with scuff and different things like that with what we put these motors through, and they truly sat down and took a month to formulate stuff that would, we did test runs and different things like that, and then like this batch didn't work and this batch did work, but they, like a lot of other companies, they come in with a sticker and they're like, just keep using what you're using and pour it in our bottle and move on with life. But that's not how Pennzoil did that. Like they were like, look, it's got our name on it. Our scientists are going to make it, and it's going to live in your car and on the racetrack. So, and that's that. I mean, I think that there has a lot to say about that. You know what I mean? And if they can formulate some stuff to live in our Fuel Funny cars, think what it does like in your daily driver. You know what I mean? Like it's just going to last forever. But I think that's why. Oil changes have moved out to like 6,000 miles instead of every 2,500 or whatever, or every 3,000. But it's just one of those things where, they do stand behind what they're doing. And I'm very blessed that a lot of my sponsors that I have with Mopar and Pennzoil and Sandvik and New Holland and different things like that, they're easy to rep, man, you know what I mean? Because I can use them every day and I believe them and they work, you know what I mean? It'd be tough if I was repping something I didn't know anything about, so I have a hard time signing up when I'm talking with Schumacher about some of these deals and different things like that. If I don't really truly believe in it and it's not something we'd use on our daily, then we usually push it to someone else in our team or something like that,
Absolutely. And I love when motorsports translates to real life. And motorsports has been my forte my entire life, from NASCAR to IndyCar. NHRA, I'll be honest, that was something that I started, and it was just something that I would watch just for fun. But it's become more intriguing to me as we've gone on, just because I've learned more and more and more. So one of the things that I've always wondered is, like in NASCAR, IndyCar, you see where the driver and the crew chief, they're always talking. They're always going back and forth. So NHRA Funny Car, what are some of the things that you can tell Dickie Venables that help make your car faster and perform better for you?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there is so much chatter in my ear, honestly. just unplug my radio. I mean, it's I don't tell them that all the time, but they're making calls all the way up until like we fire the car up, and even then when it comes back and he's turning the barrel valve and everything. But when I'm sitting in the lanes, they're talking about, basically, air pressure and fuel flow, clutch flows, and how much weight's on the clutch and how much wing's on the car, and then basically diluting down the nitro with alcohol and making sure our tune-ups are right in sync. And then they're looking at cloud cover, and they're getting grippo numbers up there from basically when the track's, got cloud cover on it, or when it's, right now, and then they get temperatures off of that deal. And then, just on and on and on, all the way up until, I'm watching guys in the lanes, whether it's sucking them in and pulling them out, or, where the bumps are that the car might unload and different things like that, and trying to be in stage certain ways to kind of, leave and different things like that. The rubber's kind of starting to peel up there and different things, how long to do a burnout and then backing up and yada, yada, yada. So, I think that, there's a lot of talk in NASCAR, but, man, there's a lot of talk on our deal. And there's so many variables and there's so many changes all the way up until we fire the car up, and even then, you're just going like, everything can be right. This is why this is one of the most humbling sports in the world. There's no do-over. Basically, you can go up there and drive your ass off, and your crew chief can make all the right calls, and your guys put it together right. But then you're still at the mercy of the parts and pieces. You're trying to run 330 miles an hour in under 4 seconds, and you're at the mercy of those parts. So, you can get it right and still have to go home because, something broke, So there's just no do-overs in our sport, and that's what's so humbling about it. So, like, when you turn 4 win lights on Sunday, you're truly like, oh, man, we did it today. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those feelings where, I've won championships, and you're going like, sometimes it's like, can we just win a race? You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to do sometimes, but it's nice to get put back in perspective and be humbled a little bit to go like, damn, let's focus on a race, much less a championship right now,
Absolutely. And so now I'm thinking, as you're pulling up the line, you have all this going on. You've got a rival like John Force in the next lane. But still, you're a two-time champion. You're the first funny car driver in the 3-second bracket, first funny car driver to break the 3.8-second bracket. You were funny car driver of the decade. So when you pull up to the line, is all that information, is information overload like the most intimidating part, or what is the most intimidating part when you pull up to that line?
Man, I think I do well because I don't think about it, right? Like, if you're up there thinking, it's not a reaction time. It's, it's not a think time, it's a reaction time, you know what I mean? So it's just like, when I get up there thinking about stuff, that's when I mess up, you know what I mean? Like, it becomes just a normal routine for you. It's like putting on a pair of shoes every day, you know what I mean? Like, you crawl in there, you feel comfortable when, there's a great book out there, man, and you guys being sports-based, you would love it. I think, maybe you've already read it, I don't know, but I've read it several times. I've worked with several sports psychologists over the years, and this book's called Mind Gym from Gary Batmack, and he worked with all types of athletes, man, like, golfers, baseball players, football players, basketball, you name it. He pretty much, worked on their mentality and their mind game. But this book also applies to, like, life, and business and different things like that. And it's just really being positive. And, like, you go up there, I talk to myself and tell myself what I want to happen. I see it happen, and then it becomes reality. And you build this kind of, like, perspective in your mind of what's going to happen. And you're watching cars in front of you and different things like that. And, so for me, it's like pushing everything to pull down in the car. And once I'm pulled down tight, it's like everything else fades away. Like, there's nothing else other than what's right in front of me at the time. Like, I'm not thinking about my sponsors. I'm not thinking about, what's happening after this or this autograph session or this or that. It's just like, you just become part of that car at the time. And, like, you're trying to slow your breathing down and get your breath under control and your heart rate down. And, it's an adrenaline-driven sport. So, I used to think, like, man, I'm going to be up and I got to do this. But that's very unpredictable as an athlete, when you're all over the place and you're up and then you're trying to get your adrenaline to a certain spot. So for me, being more cool, calm, and collect has been more predictable over the years of knowing, leaving the starting line. And, like, my only focus up there is basically that light. We win and lose races on reaction times. And that light is all I care about. Like, body starts making reactions from there, like whether I'm thinking about it or not. Like, it just happens more naturally. But up until that point, you have time to think about it, right? So as you're staging the car and this and how long am I going to be on the pumps and yada, yada, yada. But, up until then, once you hit that pedal, it's just your natural reaction should take over. So don't worry about from the run on. You got to worry about from before the run to staging the car. And, once that light falls, then it's kind of like, expect your body to kind of take over and react from there. So for me, it's just clearing there and thinking about what I want to happen, seeing it happen, and making it happen.
That is absolutely incredible because I feel like that right there, you're right. Once you get that part, that mentality of, you know what, okay, I get it. I'm on the stage. I know I am. That's fine. But you know something? It's okay. I'm not going to think about none of that. I'm going to go out there and just drive. I'm going to go out there and just do what I love doing. And to me, that is the pinnacle of having that complete elite athlete mindset. So I can definitely agree with you and share that with you as well. So I'll tell you what, Matt, my gosh, look, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Hagan's he's got to get back to lifting his engine and overhead pressing it, for reps of 15 to 20 probably. Soon. But I'll tell you what, I'd love to keep you all day long. I mean, seriously, I could talk to you for hours, man, if you have the time. But I know that probably time's getting short, and we gotta let you go. Unfortunately, because like I said, I know it sucks, but unfortunately, I know you got your busy things to do. We even went overtime, but I thank you so much for even.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on the show, man.
Oh, thank you.
Anytime you guys want to chat again, just you got my number, hit me up. We'll line it up and we'll knock it out. But I want to say a couple things real quick before I leave. Just to all your listeners and fans and stuff that support you, thank you for supporting these guys. But second of all, our sponsors really do pay our bills. You know what I mean? We could win every race and a championship, and it doesn't pay for what it costs to run the car. So the listeners out there that do support our sponsors, it really does go a long ways. And I just want to say thank you for doing that. And then just say thank you to the fans, man. Like that's truly where it's at. You know what I mean? Like we can't be driving and doing what we love if the fans don't show up to the racetrack and support our sponsors and support us. So it does really happen that way. So, when you do go pick up Pennzoil, or you do go buy a Mopar, or you do go buy a cutting tool like Sandvik or whatever, that is supporting what we do, and it keeps us in a job and gives us, the passion to do what we love to do. So I just wanted to say thank you to those fans that do go out there and do that, because it does really keep us in a job. That is...
My gosh, there's no way to even, that should literally be the end of the show. That is the greatest way you can ever say, because you're absolutely right. That's it. It keeps everybody, because that money, it goes towards everything that all of your team, everybody just does. So I could not agree more. That is a great way to call this thing. And like I said, man, trust me, man, my gosh, I want to, the only reason why we're even getting out of here is because I know you have things to do. Other than that, man, I'd cut things out for the rest of the day. I don't even care. I want to sit here and talk to Matt Hagan all day. Like, I'm cool with that. Like,
let's talk again sometime soon, guys.
Hey, I'd love that. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Hagan, two-time NHRA Funny Car Champion, Matt Hagan. And I'll tell you what, sir, this has been a complete honor. Thank you so much. We're going to take ourselves a short break. Matt, stay on the line real quick. We're going to take ourselves a short break. And when we get back, Jonathan and I will be back to talk a teeny little bit about yesterday, of course. We got a little bit of NASCAR going on, a little bit of Bundesliga soccer, and that's going to be it for the day. So with that said, y'all, that was, of course, the great Matt Hagan, and he'll be back. You heard him. You can hear him. Hopefully we'll be back very soon. We'd love to have him back here. And... well, there you have it. So, for Jonathan and myself, Larry B, we'll be back in a few minutes. You are listening to The Defining Moment right here at IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
From the home plate to the nets, the end zone to the finish line, here nothing is off limits and no sport is safe. Not what it seems with your host Caitlin Seam, bringing you sports like you've never heard before. Catch me Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on IE Sports Radio. The only question is, are you ready?
Welcome to the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome back, sports fans. Well, there you have it, y'all. One more applause for Matt Hagan. Man, that was as cool as the other side of the pillow. And I don't care if that is cliche. That was amazing. I mean, my gosh. We got to talk to a guy who has potential to be he's already won too, guys. I mean, he has potential to really, as Jonathan was just saying off air right now, he can really go on to be this, continue to be a dominant force, and he could be somebody who is that next absolute legend that we're seeing in the sport. And I love it because you can see how awesome he is, how down to earth he is, and how willing he is to speak, and to us, of course, to media. And I just think that was amazing. So first and foremost, I just got to say this before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen. I love giving these big, gigantic introductions and all the good stuff. But I'll tell you something, y'all. Of course, always gotta thank God, always gotta thank our listeners, and gotta for sure thank our guests. But man, none of these bookings would be even possible without Jonathan, y'all. So ladies and gentlemen, as I love to say, our booking agent here at IE Sports Radio, he has brought pretty much almost everybody you see on our previous guest page on IE Sports Radio. Go check it out at IESportsRadio.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Couch Crew Chief. Dude, thank you, man. Thank you for all of this.
Hey man, it's my pleasure. I mean, I'll tell you what, 3 months ago, I didn't think I would be reaching out to John Force Racing. I didn't think I'd be reaching out, much less talking to Matt Hagan like that. All the other people, Ryan Sparks, I knew him personally. Thank God I was able to get him. But like Frank Gears from the American Cornhole Organization, all these great guests that we've had on The Defining Moment, including Sam Green and Ty Butchery. And then on the extra mile, I mean, when you look at all of these names, a lot of up-and-coming drivers, I'm blessed that they've said yes. They don't have to say yes. They don't have to give us our time. They can say, hey, I'm shut down. I'm going to do my thing. But they've taken time out to say yes, and they've blessed me. They've made my job look easy. So to me, it's all about them. I love hearing their stories. I do this so I can hear their stories, not so I can talk to them. Quite honestly, that's what it comes down to. They're entertaining me.
I like that. I like your perspective of that. And telling you, man, I know you're a modest guy, and really, man, I appreciate all you've done here. And Taryn, by the way, says California Governor Gavin Newsom said pro sports games can resume in the state without fans in the first week of June. Texas and California pro sports is slated to be back by June 1st. So thank you for that awesome tidbit of information there, Taryn. He also says, and cooler than the other side of the pillow is not cliche. Said best by the late, great Scott Stewart. And yes, late and great, because he was awesome. He was great. Definitely a amazing sportscaster, and he definitely will be missed. May he rest in everlasting peace, Scott Stewart. But yes, I love it, and I love that phrase there. But I'll tell you, thanks again, Taryn, everybody jumping in for today. Of course, Mr. Ben Sutter III in the chat room, Mr. Davidson Crooks, and Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. Thank you to everybody jumping in today. And well, here we go. So real quick and dirty, Jonathan. Yesterday we had the return of NASCAR over in South Carolina.
Thank God. I have missed it so much. So to finally see those cars fire up and get back on track, well, I sat down with my little thing of ribs and my cold beer, and I just enjoyed the hell out of a race. That's what more can you ask for on a Sunday afternoon?
You're absolutely right. That race, man, it was a good one. We got it underway in Darlington, of course, a place that is extremely hard to win at. And the track is too tough to tame, of course. It has been deemed too tough to tame. And I'll tell you, a lot of drivers, well, even those who may have tamed it in the past, it's not the same animal every time. And it really...
The lady in black is different every time you approach her, every single time. I mean, you might be able to learn a little something. This here will be the first time we're going to be able to see what these crews can do, because basically yesterday is a glorified test session for Wednesday. So those teams that maybe kind of did poorly, maybe they found something out. Those teams that were doing good, are they going to sit back? Because even Kevin Harvick, who won the race, they're talking they might use the same car. But is that the right move? Because is everything going to be the same? Are the others going to learn something? You don't know. So first and foremost at Darlington, you have to race the track, because the track is the equalizer. The second you get comfortable on Darlington, it reminds you can't do that. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see what happens Wednesday night. It's going to be interesting to see how teams approach this next race. Because remember, we still have more Darlington coming up. This fall for Labor Day weekend, we have more Darlington. So it's going to be a big deal.
It is, and I'm so excited. Wednesday night we get another race. I mean, Darlington is awesome. And yesterday, oh my gosh, man! I mean, I was in the stands in Fontana. I was in the freaking stands, man. I was there. I was cheering on Jimmy. I was like, dude, this is one more time, dude. One more time here. This is your home track. This is where you want to. This is it. I'm cheering for you. Come on. And every single time, man, we on the restarts, Alex Bowman just pulled away. There was no way he wasn't going to win that race. I forgot who was second place in that. But it was like I'm telling you, man, every single time. Here we go. Boom. They're all going together. Okay, cool. Next lap. Boom, here we go, all kind of together. Third lap. Well, Alex Bowman's pulling away, and then we have second place, and then there goes Jimmy Johnson. And before you know it, man, we're getting 5-10 laps in. It was just Alex Bowman, second, Jimmy Johnson. Like, I mean, the gap just got bigger and bigger. You weren't going to beat Alex Bowman that day. Nobody was. And I'll tell you what.
No. Yesterday, I thought for sure that, it's like right off the bat, it looked like Jimmy, he definitely had a car to beat.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, like, the world just kind of catches up with you. When you win that many championships in a row, when you hit your 7 championships, there's a reason everybody stops at 7. There's a reason you don't get any more. Because the world says, no, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what happened yesterday. It was bad place, bad time. It was the perfect moment for everything to go wrong for Jimmy Johnson. And it sucked. I'm not even a Jimmy Johnson fan. I'll be honest. I'm not a Jimmy Johnson fan, but my Lord, it was one of those things where I'm like, I'm ready to see him win again. Let's let him. He is planning on retiring at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Let him get his last win. Let's see it. Just like Tony Stewart got his last one out at Sonoma. So now with Jimmy Johnson, I'm going, okay, he didn't get Darlington. Where's his track? Because he's going to get one more. Where does this win come?
I hope it's Charlotte, but I just thought about that Tony Stewart victory. That was the crazy one right around the last little Martinsville type turn versus Denny Hamlin, right? That was the one where he
and I mean it was beat and bang and come across the line. He was beat up. There was nothing left on the track there, and that is something that you love to see. So I'm going, is that how Jimmy Johnson is going to go out too? Is he going to take and fight it out and get one of these wins? Or is it going to be, hey, look, over 100 race winless streak, and you're done?
Absolutely. And that was just, oh man, that was a rough one to see. He got into, I forgot who he got into, but he got into the rear end of who was that, Jonathan? He got into the rear end of somebody.
God, I don't have it right off the top of my head. It was,
man.
Was it Busher?
It might have been.
I think it was Busher. I think it was the 17. Because Stenhouse crashed out earlier than that.
Yeah.
And then
first lap.
Busher. Yeah, and then I think it was Busher because it was it would have been Busher because it was a 17 car.
It was rough because, I mean, it's like I don't know. I was listening to the guys over on USRN, of course, watching the race as well. Matt Owens, Matt White, Seth Eves, and Daryl Kinsey Jr. And I'll tell you, man, that was just, when they were talking about it, it just sucked because it's true, man. It was on the final lap, I want to say, of stage 2, or stage 1. It was on the final lap of one of those, I know. And it's just like, man, like, just seeing him, oh gosh damn it, he was being aggressive. I know they were saying that, but at the same exact time, it was an aggressive move. I guess he may have was trying to get to the outside. I don't know. But regardless, man, I mean, he's ended up on the wrong side of that thing, and I mean, seeing him hit the wall, I was like, gosh damn it. Like,
yeah, and it is just purely a racing deal. It really is, and it sucks, but it's one of those things, we've seen it happen 100 times, but for it to impact the leader, you never see it impact the leader. You almost never see this impact the leader. And for it to impact the leader and for him to get taken at that end of his race, it's like, oh my God, what does this guy have to do to get his next win? And I know he took to Twitter and he's like, just going to learn for Wednesday and move on. And it's like, what do you learn? Because you've been in that position, 30 times a race for the past how many years? It's like, what is there to learn? What would you change? Because there's no perfect answer.
No, he gave the best answer he could, Jonathan. I think that's literally.
Absolutely.
He's gotten used to saying that. Unfortunately, it's like, it's true, man. I just want him to win one. Gosh, you're right. It's one more, man. He's got to win one more. So, but the race would ultimately come to a conclusion as that machine, of course, because it was fast yesterday. I'll tell you what, the number 4 of Kevin Harvick, he wins this thing. He earns his 50th career victory as he wins his first race also of the season, this really awkward season that we're having. He will take it on home, winning the 2020 The Real Heroes 400 at Darlington. And you know what? Good for him. He won a great race there. 50 wins on an incredibly tough track and an incredible track and a really good race. First race back since, my gosh, since when?
He said 71 days. It was a 71-day break. So finally got him started. So I have to touch on one of these. You know how it's like every now and then you look at the standings and go, oh my God, where did that guy come from?
Mm-hmm.
This is happening. John Hunter Nemechek finished 9th in the 38 car. And I had said straight out, going into this stuff, you're going to see the best drivers come to the top. It's not going to be about equipment because these big teams are used to having all the research, all the data, all the aero. They're used to having it all done and dialed in so they can beat anybody. Well, now they don't have that. So I knew it was going to come down to you're going to have some of these surprise drivers. Also, you see Tyler Reddick. He's 7th. You see Austin Dillon. He's 11th. John Hunter Nemechek is 9th. Matt Kenseth, in his debut back, gets a top 10. And, I mean, he's been out of their race car how long? Quite a while. But you see the best drivers come to the top. In my personal opinion, you do. You're going to see them because these big teams aren't able to go through and basically change, do everything they can to make their car perfect. So without perfect cars, you're going to see the best drivers come to the top. There you are. Kurt Busch in the number 1 car got a third place finish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like it's a bottom tier car, but it's obviously a second tier car. When you look at the Ganassi cars, they're arguably a second tier car like Richard Childress Racing. It's a second tier car. They're not Hendrick, they're not Gibbs, they're not Penske. But also you see these third tier cars popping up top, And then you've got these, quote-unquote bottom-tier teams, your back runners, or the 38 car. When was the last time that thing got a top 10 without a huge amount of attrition? I mean, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 5 cars out of the race. It's crazy.
You got to think.
What world are we living in?
Absolutely, man. Darlington, and it's true, man. Darlington's freaking too tough to name. I love it as a great track, and well, it's a great track to race on. I'm sure it's a great track to enjoy a race from. But I'll tell you, man, at the end of the day, this track is just, I feel like if you've mastered it, you've like literally climbed Mount Everest of NASCAR. Like, you've done something that not everybody can do. Like, that's a hard place, man.
Yeah, it is one of those. There's a reason why the Southern 500 is considered a crown jewel of the sport. It's not about the dates. It's not about the time. It is about the track. Have you done what's necessary to win at Darlington? Because it's not when you can just go. You can't go in. We don't race a track like this all the time. It's not a normal mile and a half. This is 1.3 mile oval that is egg-shaped. And you don't race that very much. So and you also have to change your approach to each corner. Turn 1 and 2, you can't approach like you do 3 and 4. Turn 1 and 2 is just so much different, so you have to adjust how you're running.
Absolutely.
There. And the fastest way around the track is at the very top, because that's the only place there's any grip left on the track, it seems.
Which is insane. But I mean, to think, you said too one time that's kind of crazy. The history of that track is they used to run on the bottom. Wrong, not anymore.
Yeah, for those who don't know, if you're not a historian, I'm a historian. I love NASCAR. It's in my soul. They used to run on the flat part of the track, and the banked part, if you had a problem, you moved up to the banking and you parked on the banking. So that way you wouldn't have to stop the race, but you actually raced on the flat. And it wasn't until, almost 10 years into it that somebody said, let me try driving up on that banking and see what we got here. And next thing you know, where are we at? We are at the very, very, very top of that track is the fastest way around.
Which is absolutely incredible, man. So, real quick, we're going to take ourselves a quick little teeny look here. We had Bundesliga action for the first time since March 11th, which I see here courtesy of my ESPN Score Center app. But I just want to go over a couple scores. Well, actually, the scores from this past weekend. We're getting more sports back. But really quick, this is basically it, y'all. And then we're pretty much out of here for the day. But it's going to go over...
I'll be honest. So, I know other people, they were like, well, I'm not going to watch soccer, blah, blah, blah. I'm a sports fan. I just love sports. I love seeing competition. So I tuned in. And it is definitely a different atmosphere without the fans. You could see it in the players and how they reacted. But at the same time, they did everything they could to make it seem normal. And I had to applaud the players for doing that, because they don't have to do that. They can just go out there and leisurely play their game and say, okay, we're done. I don't need to do any more. But they actually, they did all their little celebrations as much as they could and everything else, just to make it feel normal for us.
Absolutely, and that was awesome, man. So I may mess up some of these names as I usually do when I go over the Bundesliga, but let's go ahead and get it done. This past weekend, by the way, on Wellington Sports Radio was awesome. Pierre Moss did double duty this weekend on Wellington Sports Radio, his live call station, and the IE Sports Radio live call station, both on Mixler.com. Of course, that's where you can catch USRN as well as UNB. So big shout out to, of course, all of those cats, and UNB. Joey Gouchard, that does a great job as well. So, with that said, let's go ahead and jump on into some of these scores. Because this was a good one on WSR with Sports Radio with Pierre Moss on Saturday, as Borussia Dortmund gets knocked off Schalke, man, 4-0, absolutely just ate them for breakfast. I mean, this was just it was actually lunch over there, but it was breakfast here on the west coast of the United States, and this was, I guess, the beatdown. Wolfsburg will knock off Augsburg 2-1 on the road. Then we have here Dusseldorf and Paderborn, with a 0-0 draw. Then Red Bull Leipzig, the team who's usually up and around the top, well, they looked pretty good, except for Freiburg looks pretty good too, and they had themselves a 1-1 draw. Next up, we had Hertha Berlin absolutely obliterating, because 3-0 is pretty much an obliteration. In soccer, we have destroying them, Hoffenheim, that is, 3-0. Of course, Hoffenheim is a track that I guess would love to to see back in Formula One, Jonathan. And then we have here, Borussia Mönchengladbach defeating Frankfurt 3-1 on the road. And then on to Sunday, we had Cologne and Mainz, I believe, 2-2 draw, and then Bayern Munich, a game that we had on IE Sports Radio. Of course, Pierre Moss was on the call for that one to end our 6-year anniversary week yesterday, and it was a game that I thought was going to be kind of worse. It was actually more competitive than I thought it was, but the team who usually runs the Bundesliga got it done. Bayern Munich will defeat Union Berlin 2-0 on the road, and there you have it. As of right now, there's actually a game that's ending. They're in the 91st minute, I believe, or in the 90th minute, and they got extra time, 1 minute added, and this game's pretty much over as Bayer Leverkusen is just stepping all over Bremen. Sorry, man. Sorry, guys, but they are just, it is just nasty. 4-1 right now. Leverkusen is winning this thing on the road, and they look pretty sharp. So coming up this weekend, a game of the week that I have picked out for you that I think is going to be a good battle. I really think this is going to be the game of the week next week. It's going to take place on Saturday, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and over there it's got to be probably 1 or 2 in the day, I think, in Germany, but it's going to be, 30 that is, 1 or 2:30, somewhere around there, maybe 3. But I'll tell you, this is going to be a good game. And this, of course, is Borussia Mönchengladbach will be hosting Bayer Leverkusen. This will be a good battle. I really think this is going to be a really good game. Really good match. This one should bring soccer fans to their feet. The table right now it's of course got shut down early, but as of right now, the top 5, Leverkusen with 47 points. Then we have here Red Bull Leipzig with 51. Borussia Mönchengladbach, look at them right there, just 1 point ahead of Leipzig with 52. We have Borussia Dortmund with 54, and right out in front. This is the point of the season. Well, now, of course, it would be getting close to the end. But if we were back in March, and they were this close, I don't know. Dortmund could be making a move to get up there. I mean, they're just 4 points. By now, Bayern Munich could be already 1. They would have been already over. They would have been up by 20 points already. But right now, at this point in the season, it's just a 4-point gap as Borussia Dortmund trails Bayern Munich by just 4 points. 58 points for Munich, and we have here Borussia Dortmund with 54. So this is going to be exciting. I'm so glad to have the German league back. Bundesliga is awesome, and it's going to be a awesome race to the end here. So I'll tell you.
And you have scoring in Bundesliga, unlike the Premier League. Let's just be honest.
Yes.
The Premier League doesn't have near as much scoring. If you're going to watch soccer or football, as they call it over there, watch Bundesliga. You're going to enjoy it a whole lot more. There's going to be more scoring. I may not be able to speak for everybody. I speak for myself. I enjoy it just because I get to see a goal or two in a game.
Absolutely. And that's something that, and I have been crucial before of the Bundesliga just because you're too much. Terrence is here in the chat room, brunch. Yeah, I guess you could say that's brunch. Terrence says, what advice do you have for sports fans who haven't or hardly watched a certain sport such as UFC, NASCAR, etc.? I'll take this one real quick, and Jonathan can follow. You can definitely get your take on this, but I definitely got to say, you know what, Tara? For those people who don't watch or have hardly ever watched other sports like UFC or NASCAR, I've made it completely clear that I am not really a UFC guy. That's my least favorite sport. It's not that I don't like combat sports, because boxing is at the tippy top for me, near football and auto sports. I love boxing. MMA to me just isn't appealing. I don't like using legs. I don't like using submissions. To me is like pulling hair. I just think that's and I know, somebody's gonna snap your leg or your arm. Oh well, then you're not gonna be saying that. Then yeah, I get it, but to me, I just feel like two fighters need to fight on their feet and use problem solver number 1 and number 2. And if somebody goes to the mat or to the canvas, well, then you let them get up and guess what? You put them right back down using problem solvers number 1 and 2 again. I've never been a fan of using flying knees and kicking each other and trying to, wrestling, don't get me wrong, wrestling's its own animal. I greatly respect wrestling. Wrestling is nuts. I didn't do it in high school because I had facial hair and didn't want to shave, and I just didn't want to wear a mask, and there you go. But at the end of the day, it's something I actually should have done. It would have made me a better tackler in football. I just think that I respect it, and I think it's great. But at the end of the day, I'm not about the ground stuff, guys. Like, I'm just not a ground guy. I just don't like that ground stuff. It's, unless you're trying to detain somebody, like you're a police officer, okay, or you work in LP, like one of my really good friends do, and you're trying to detain somebody so that way they cause no harm to you or anybody else, and you're trying to arrest them or hold them for the police at least, then, other than that, in a fight, I just feel like, I know everyone's all, well, no one fights fair, whatever. Yes, and of course, I mean, you shouldn't be fighting anyway outside of a professional sport, in my opinion. Just saying, keep your cool. But when it comes down to it, y'all, I don't know. Like, I think it's a great sport. It's awesome. I respect the heck out of it. Those ladies and gentlemen can fight like crazy. They are good fighters, amazing athletes. I respect them all so very much because of their training and everything. I don't respect them. I think they're awesome. It's just that kind of fighting, I'm just not a fan of. I'll watch it. I will watch it. I will, tweet about it every now and then. But when it comes down to it, I'm just not really a fan. Just because I'm a boxing guy. I like using fists, and that's just how I was raised. That's what I grew up watching, and that's my thing. But other than that, but for NASCAR, I mean, everybody, I'm gonna really let Jonathan finish up on this one. You can jump on the UFC thing as well, but.
My advice when it comes to first time you're watching a sport, there's 2 ways to approach this. Number 1, you can go out and get the video game, and find a team you like to play with, or you find a driver you like to drive with, and that's how you can approach it. That is one way to take and go, okay, I'm going to watch this new sport, go pick up the video game, pick up, a 2 or 3 year old version so it's affordable, and you don't mind dropping, $15 on a game that might give you a couple hours of enjoyment. That's way 1. Number 2, this is my preferred way. I just turn it on and I take in, if it's racing and I don't have a particular driver in that field, I look for colors. What colors do I like? That's how I became a Team Lotus F1 fan years ago, because their car looked like the car for, it had the black and gold color scheme like Smokey the Bandit Trans Am. So I started cheering for them solely because of that. When it comes to soccer, when I took in my buddy who was a Tottenham Spurs fan, so my buddy kind of led me that way. But when it came to Bundesliga, I picked VfB just because I liked the history, like that they're based in Stuttgart. That's where Porsche is made, so that's how I chose that team. When it comes to UFC and boxing, I'm not a huge fan. Let me say this: I love watching. I love to watch, but I don't know all the background stories, and I probably never will. So I just root for whoever starts bleeding first. That's it. That is simply it. That's how I go about it. So when it comes to new sport, that's how I pick my people.
You know what, Jonathan? That's what I'm talking about. That's awesome. We see different ways to get into things. And like I said, you know what? Look, guys, I became an NHRA fan as a child because my dad would literally... Well, that's how I became a Raider fan. That's how I became a Laker fan. I became an Angels fan because it's my grandfather's team. My dad wasn't really a baseball guy. But I just become it because that's what I grew up seeing and that's what I love. And then the NHRA, I just made that thing my own. Like, I mean, that was of course, my dad got me into it. I of course, am a huge Jump Force fan. But then I started to branch off and learn these other drivers and learn about them and hear them and see them, and then that's how I become how I became such a big Matt Hagan fan or a J.R. Todd fan, or you know what I mean, like cheering on Antron Brown. I'm a huge Antron Brown fan, or of course a huge Brittany Force fan. That's not too hard to solve, of course, because that's, of course, the daughter of the great John Force and a Courtney Force fan. I find myself now having a bigger soft spot in my entire life than I ever have for Graham Rahal in the last couple of years, because, of course, that's Courtney Force's husband. So guess what? He's a part of Team Force, too, so in my opinion. So guess what? I cheer on Rahal all the time now when it comes to IndyCar. I mean, you just find your ways to get into it. And like I said, as Jonathan said, too, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't like it because you'll watch it and enjoy it. I watched UFC the other night, and enjoy it. I didn't get to watch it, but I watched highlights and everything. I thought that was really cool. I was like, you know what? I respect them. They're awesome. I don't ever see myself being like a super fan of it, but I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to not watch it. I know the other night I did that, but I'm not going to, I want to be able to watch things. And of course, we do IE Sports Radio, so we have to watch things and get into them. But even if we didn't do this, I just figure, you know what? No, love all sports, because even as an athlete, as an athlete myself, I understand how hard this crap is, y'all. Like, you put in hours and hours. All you see is the finished product. That's all you're seeing when you watch a game. You're not seeing everything else. And like earlier, when we were off air and we were jumping on right before Matt Hagan, I love it because he was like, yeah, I told him, I says, a lot of people just think that it's driving straight. And he says, yeah. He says, nope. I love it what he said. Something very similar to the lines of, people think that, you're just getting in the car and driving straight, and it's so much more than that, and it's so true, because my dad used to tell me, that's why I became such a big NASCAR, NHRA fan and NASCAR fan and motorsports fan, because once again, my dad was a very skilled mechanic, and he used to tell me, he says, look at these guys, he says, I love the drivers and I love the racing, but what I love the most is the guys in the pit. He says, those guys can tear down a motor in 45 minutes and rebuild that thing. He says, they can do that. He says, the finished product is, basically what he would say, not like verbatim, but the finished product is basically what you get on the track. And the crazy part about that is for a driver, that's also the finished product, because the hours of knowing how to even handle that speed, the hours of learning how to pedal down the racetrack if you have to.
The time spent working on your reaction time.
Yes.
Because you have hand-eye, you have foot-eye, you've got hand and foot all together working in motion. And the thing is, it's like, so it isn't like an H pattern. It's not an H pattern shifting, and you're actually not shifting gears. You actually reach over and you just start pulling levers, and it starts engaging more and more clutch plates to get more and more of that horsepower to those wheels. If you engage a little too early, you're going to take and spin the wheels or shake the wheels. Mm-hmm. So it's all that, and the amount of time it takes for them to build up that muscle response and make it so it's automatic, because this is just over 3 seconds to go almost a quarter mile, and there's a whole lot going on between left, right, keeping the wheels hooked up and engaging clutch plates, because it's absolutely insane. And then at the end, when it's all said and done, you still have to pop your shoes.
And
it's amazing.
That's a different animal on its own. It's true, y'all. Just because you have these rocket, basically, cars, okay, that can get down, can chop a quarter mile up into literally 3 freaking seconds. 3 to 4 seconds. It's insane, because in that teeny tiny amount of time, there is so much that happens, and the amount that goes into that, it is just ridiculous. And once again, everybody sees that with NASCAR. Oh, it's just driving in circles. No, it's not. You have any idea of the preparation, the tuning,
and all the hours back at the shop, and that's where all these drivers, they will always say, give a shout out to their guys at the shop. If a driver doesn't do that, I'll tell you what, they're being very selfish, because they're not the ones typically putting the hours in the shop. They're not hanging the body. They're not tuning the motor. They're not bleeding the brake system. They're not installing the brake system. They're not going over every single weld on that chassis to make sure it keeps them safe. All these other people do that. Hundreds of people. And that's one of those things that I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I'm not an athlete. But I geek out over all the tiny little details that it takes to get that car to the finish line. And I'm not even talking to win. To win, you do have to be perfect at just everything that week. So just to see everything it takes to get to the track is insane. And it's one of those things where I wish people could experience it more, and in all sports, because you don't get to see all the behind the scenes in football. You don't get to see behind the scenes in soccer. You don't get to see behind the scenes in baseball, basketball. Racing lets you take and see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So as, someone who really isn't an athlete, I look at all these other sports and I go, my God, the amount of stuff that they must have to do, because each person, they have their individual assignments, but they also have to be willing to move when needed. and to sacrifice themselves for the team at a moment's notice, or not even at a notice, just feeling out the situation.
Absolutely. Greatly said. I'll tell you, I love that. And that's so true, Jonathan, because it's true, man. I mean, it's funny because you brought up video games earlier. I became such a big NASCAR fan because I loved the NHRA and I liked cars, so I decided to give NASCAR a chance. And, of course, the Rainbow Warrior himself, the car, of course, the number 24 DuPont Chevrolet, I became a big fan. The Cubs attracted me, and I was like, oh my gosh, Jeff Gordon's my guy. And he, of course, won plenty in the 90s, back-to-back even, 97, 98, I think. And his first one in 95, I wasn't even a fan then. I was a fan like after his third one, or I was 8 years old. But I'm just saying, like, it's so true because I got into the video game NASCAR 98 and 99, and it's like, oh my gosh. Then I started to realize, oh my gosh, wait, what's practice mode? What's qualifying? What's this? Oh hey, I could drive my car around the track before the race without, hey, there's other guys in the track or other drivers in the track, and hey, I wonder if, oh man, how come every time I go into this turn, well, maybe I should let off a little bit. Okay, cool. I wonder if, oh man, but it's still what's wedge? Can we go back to the thing?
And you don't even get into the strategy aspect, because in racing, one of the other things you have is you have fuel strategy, because you can run a fuel strategy race. You have tire strategy. Now, so the last part of yesterday's race, I scanned 2 or 3 radios every single race, so I hear what a lot of teams do. All the teams are talking that they were going to split the last segment in half, 50-50. And I'm going, not me. If I'm in 20th, you know what I'm going to do? Larry, I want you to pit 2 times in this last segment. We're going to split it into thirds, because you're going to be 2 seconds less than everybody else on the track when you come back out. If you only lose like a half lap, if you lose a lap, you're just lapped down, you're going to pass the leader back, and you're going to force everybody else to play your game. And I love that idea. I hear too many crew chiefs saying, well, this is what we're all going to do. Instead of playing somebody else's race, instead of running somebody else's race, run yours, make them adapt to you. It's something that the best crew chiefs will do. Everybody else, you're just standing still.
That is incredible. I didn't even know that. So that's like technical. I was getting into like the nuts and bolts of like, oh yeah, wedge, tire pressure, how your car sits heavier on one side for the banking, and how you can load the weight. And of course, the more advanced NASCAR games like NASCAR 84, like all that different stuff. But you're right, man. The strategy is insane. Then once again, the guys at the shop, that is huge. And then the freaking engineers, like getting into how the car even runs and how they get like live updates on the car and how it's doing and like everything that goes into it. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is literally the equivalent to, like, for instance, on the field this year, yeah, I may have an incredible... Last year, y'all, I had one of the best games against Marina Valley Mercury. I had an incredible game. I posted up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram last year, and a lot of you guys saw it, and I appreciate all of your kind words for it. But yeah, I had a career game, y'all. It was amazing. 9 tackles, 4 sacks, and 1 tackle for a loss. And, I mean, it was an incredible game. I was just all over. But people saw that. They saw the highlight reel when I posted. They saw, like, yeah, wow, he's really good. Yeah, but you also got to understand that you saw what I did out there, but you didn't see how I get up and, work out at 5 in the morning and then head to the field and run my hills and do my hill sprints and then get my mile runs in and do my interval training where I'm, 30 seconds sprinting, then a couple seconds walking and a minute jogging and back doing over and over and over for 10 minutes, 20 minutes at a time. I mean, the amount of eating, the amount of eating I'm doing, and literally a lot of the same exact food I'm freaking eating, and the amount of calories I'm eating, which I'm not a calorie carb guy, but I know, what to eat, what's good, and I try to put up stuff myself and put good food in there. At the same exact time, I'm trying not to overeat. I can't put delicious things that I would absolutely love into my body. I love a delicious beer, but I can't do that all the time. But it's like, so I mean, I'm saying that's just, and that's me right there, guys. I truly and thoroughly believe that I belong out there with those guys in the NFL. I work just as hard as they do, if not harder. I'm just short, and that's what's always gotten me. But what I'm just telling you guys is that is my personal example of what goes into it. So you see all these fighters that train altitude up in Big Bear, California, not too far from me over here in the IE. You see these boxers. You see these baseball players who are out there hitting home runs and doing great things like Mike Trout. You see these drivers like Jimmy Johnson who won freaking 7 titles. I'm just saying, you see all of these greats doing great things, but it's hilarious to think that, I don't know if hilarious is the right word to say it, but it is just, I can't even find the word. I cannot find the word, but it's just crazy to think, okay? I'm just going to use crazy, to think that that final product, Mike Trout hitting 3 home runs in one game, 4 or 5 home runs, Jimmy Johnson just winning back to back to back to back, just races nonstop, okay, like crazy. Okay, fighters punching out people or choking out people, kicking out people, whatever you want to say. Amazing soccer players, okay? I mean, like Cristiano Ronaldo, who has an amazing reason of why he doesn't even drink alcohol, and his diet is so plain and so boring, and his regimen is so crazy and ramped up, and he works so hard. It's crazy because all you see are the goals scored, the home runs hit, the football games played, and the great statistics you rack up, and the champion and the waving the checkered flag. Oh, he wins again, 3rd week in a row. You don't get to actually see everything that goes into that. Jimmy Johnson, from what I understand, freaking runs. Like, he actually runs. Like, he keeps himself in shape.
He runs, he bikes, everything. And just to kind of wrap it up, there's a difference between a sports fan and a spectator.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan, you watch and you value all that other work that you don't see. If you're a spectator, you're just there to be entertained.
I think that is the perfect way to wrap it up and the perfect way to explain it, Jonathan, because you're right, man. And we do, nothing against spectators. Hey, enjoy it.
Spectators help pay the bills. Spectators go and have fun.
That's it.
Some of the best people to take and hang around with on the weekend are spectators because they don't care. They're not so wound up in everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're the people that you can unwind with and hang out and shoot the crowd with. They're some of the funnest people around. But there's a definite separation between a fan or a fanatic and a spectator. And that's what it is those big fans, those diehard fans, they're the ones that see everything. And there's nothing wrong with being a spectator. Lord knows we need more of them.
I completely agree with you on that. And yeah, by the way, Taryn, yes, he says in the chat room, didn't you get Defensive Player of the Week after that big game, or am I thinking of another game? No, Taryn, that was the one. That was we start off the season 1-0, and that was probably one of the best games I ever played. Taryn, so thank you for that and for following me, man. Yeah, it was amazing. That was a very good game, a very tough game, and against a very good team. I was getting double teamed the entire game. They brought in a third guy, a fullback, to block me. I mean, I was getting heat from everywhere, but you know what? Once again, what helped me do that was my preparation and my training. And I'm not trying to say that anybody that I played against, just like any of the other drivers that Jimmy Johnson was racing against in the 2000s, or any of the fighters that Canelo Alvarez fights against, or any of the pictures that Mike Trout faces. I'm not trying, nobody, okay? I'm not trying to say that they didn't have competition, because they definitely did. It's just, how did you get better in competition that day? It's what you do, and this is something I even tell my kids at Paris High that I played there, and now I'm the defensive coordinator there. It's my first year being the defensive coordinator after being 1 year there for the defensive line coach. It's what I tell these kids. It's what you do when no one is watching. And to me, I feel like that is exactly it. It's what you put. You only get what you put in, and if you don't put in a lot, do not expect a lot. And like I said, Jimmy Johnson, I know he's having a tough time right now. I know it's just you can tell this is the end of his career. It sucks. But I'll tell you what, I don't care how bad his last year, a couple of years were, that cannot ever in a million years for eternity eclipse that man won 7 freaking titles. That is absolutely incredibly insane.
But it's not the end of his career. He's going to go on, and he's going to be like Tony Stewart. He wants to take and try out F1. He wants to try out IndyCar. He wants to try out these other racing series. He just doesn't want the grueling schedule anymore, and I respect that. I think anybody can respect the fact that eventually you just want time for yourself and you want to go try something different.
And you know something? I think that is a great thing. And to Jimmy Johnson, sir, I raise my glass to you, man. I tip my hat to you. I salute you, whatever you want to say, because you know what, man? That is absolutely incredible. There's been greats who have won plenty of titles in the past with 7, okay? I'm pretty sure the great Richard Petty won 7, okay? I'm pretty dang sure that Michael Schumacher won 7 in Formula 1. I'm just saying, the greats all seemed to win that many. How many did the Intimidator have?
7.
He had 7. You know why he was so great? Why his name was the Intimidator. I mean, you don't need to even go more than that. Like, Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s name was the Intimidator because that's just who he was. He seemed like the nicest guy. Like, seriously, like in interviews and everything, he certainly lets you know how he felt. He didn't care. I can think back to an interview that I saw in 2000 after the Daytona 500. Remember that interview, Jonathan?
Man, he had so many classic interviews where, I mean, he could just tear you apart with a simple word, and it wasn't even a mean word. It's like just a look and just his expression. It said everything, whether you were on his good side or his bad side. When he was excited, you knew it. I mean, he was, and don't hate me for saying this, every bit the person that John Force is with his emotions coming out of that car.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And he is a monster. That guy was amazing. He was one of the greatest to ever do it, and you can't have no choice but to respect him. And that's just who he was. He was the Intimidator because if you were on the track with him, you were racing him. Yes, you were racing all the other drivers, but you knew that Dale Earnhardt Sr. was on that track, and you knew that you were going to have the fight of your life on your hand. And that was every single race. So that's just who he was. And great stuff, man. So with that said, that's basically going to do it for today. But real quick, Jonathan, we got coming up, man, a couple more weeks. Texas, all right. We're coming back with IndyCar going to Texas, all right. We're excited about that. We're trying to get
we have a lot of NASCAR racing. If you are a race fan, or even if you're going, what is this with NASCAR racing? What's the fascination? Now's the time to tune in. You have 6 more races in like 10 more days. Tomorrow you have Xfinity racing at Darlington. Wednesday you have more Cup racing at Darlington. Sunday we have more racing at Charlotte. Wednesday we have racing at Charlotte. And I know I'm missing the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series races. There's a ton of races. You know what? Just tune in once. Give it a chance. Just like anything else, because you never know what you might like.
Absolutely. Enjoy it. I love that's a great note to end on, man. Enjoy it. Become a fan. That's how we did. We tried something new that we maybe weren't a fan of before, and you like it. And like I told you, even with UFC, guys, I just said that I may not be the biggest UFC fan. That doesn't mean I don't like it. It doesn't mean I'm not a fan of the sport and I don't respect them. They're awesome.
You're a spectator. You're a spectator of UFC.
Absolutely.
This way I'm a spectator of UFC. I love to watch it, but I'm not going to be a fanatic.
Exactly. So, I mean, of course, got to cover it because of iSports Radio. But at the same exact time, I'll get into it. I'll enjoy it, and absolutely. But you're absolutely right. I am a spectator of it, and I do enjoy it. But if anything, though, you're right. Spectating, and I think that right there, even if you're diehard in other sports and you spectate further, at least carry the respect and don't just say, "Oh, they're just driving in circles," or "Oh, they're just driving in a straight line," or "Oh, they're just there punching each other in the face," or "Oh, they're just sitting there freaking hitting each other with pads on," or "Oh, they're just kicking around the ball for 2 hours and there's a 0-0 result." Like, no, actually understand it and get it, because even if you're a spectator, respect goes a long way, and I think that right there can even turn you into a diehard. I might be a diehard UFC fan one day. We have no idea, but I'll tell you what. Great stuff, and that was a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what time it is. Big shout out, by the way, to Taryn Rodriguez, man, sticking around for the duration of the show here. He says in the chat room, amazing show, Larry and Jonathan. Hey, thank you so very much, and I think it's about that time to wrap it up and send us on out. But hey, it's a 5-minute outro, so we got a whole bunch to say in this last 5 minutes. You already know what it's time to do, y'all. Bring. Yeah, I cut out too early. I said, bring it on home. All right. Here we go, y'all. So, with that said, here we go. Hopefully you caught NASCAR yesterday. If not, it's coming up on Wednesday. More Bundesliga action on the way this weekend, of course. We're looking to get all the sports back as soon as we can. Moving on, IndyCar coming up in June, and let's just hope God please heal our nation, heal the world, and just help us get back to sports. With that said, y'all, it has been a lot of fun.
Everyone stay safe. Don't hoard the toilet paper. be nice to your neighbor, be nice to yourself.
Thank you. See, great word there. Jonathan's like, he's jack of all trades, man. He's like Matt Hagan, Renaissance man. Just having all kinds of great things. But I'll tell you, big ups to Matt Hagan. That was a lot of fun. That was one of the coolest interviews I've ever done. Of course, I'm super excited for what we've got coming up in the coming weeks and months for interviews. Jonathan keeps doing his thing here. Thank you to everybody at iSports Radio, of course. We're now into our 6th year. It has been awesome. By the way, if you did not catch it yesterday, catch, of course, Fast Break, our basketball show with Mr. Davison Crooks and Mr. Dentarius Locke. Of course, you can catch me, Jonathan, and I, usually 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's usually the sweet spot for some reason. Terrence says, don't hoard the meat/steak, too. Yeah, that's interesting. But, so catch that. Then, of course, tonight, stay tuned. 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, over there all the way from North Carolina, where Jonathan's at. Show us some love. Mr. Mike Pat delivers you another wine as he pours himself a delicious glass of wine. I wonder what the wine is going to be tonight, and he's going to whine about sports. Also, coming up tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern, catch Phil Jones and Phil Robinson III on The Unfiltered Truth, or for The Unfiltered Truth radio show. Show some love there. Also, we have coming up tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. on the East Coast, Mr. Marcus looks great talking boxing, UFC, all combat sports coming on up. But Wednesday, and how could I forget? So sorry, Taryn. I don't know why. I guess his show bounces around sometimes because of his interviews. But tomorrow you can also catch Set Point, talking all kinds of volleyball, y'all. Back at his regular time, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, before Gloves Off, of course. So Taryn doing great things there on that show. Also, you got to make sure to catch on Thursday Miss Caitlin Seam, one of the hottest shows on iSports Radio with Not What It Seems, coming on up. Gonna be a great show, of course. 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Also, double dose of Caitlin that day, because you get Caitlin and Daryl together, and Michael Ward as well. 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Looking to forward to another interview. Still trying to see, but we will see if everything works out. Daryl already announced it last week. Trying to get J.R. Todd, of course, another NHRA driver, on the show for Thursday. And then on to Friday. 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. We have Base Loaded with Mr. Brandon Buckingham and Mr. Blake Henley. Catch them for baseball talk. Then on this Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, we have here Gabriel Montoya with the Soccer Scoreboard Show. 5 p.m. that night, 7 p.m. Yes, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, we have The Neutral Zone with Mr. Robert Kavanaugh, and that is that for the week. That is what we look like, and that's how it goes, y'all. For my boy here, man, Mr. Jonathan, the Couch Crew Chief. Hey, man, any final words?
The only thing I have is make sure you go check out the 6-year anniversary show that aired last Friday night. Check out that John Force interview with Larry. It was one of the most emotional, one of the most special interviews you will ever hear.
It absolutely is, and thank you for that, John, for setting that up, man. That was incredible, talking to one of my idols, and that was awesome, man. My late father was very proud of me for that, I know, and thank you for making that happen, man. And of course, big shout out to Sarah Slaughter for helping out with that in John Force's PR department. But with that said, y'all, for Jonathan, Couch Crew Chief, for me, your boy Larry B, and for all of us here at iSports Radio, check us out, iSportsRadio.com. Give us a follow on Twitter at iSports Radio and Instagram at iSports Radio. Also, give a like on Facebook at iSports Radio. We certainly like that. And of course, show us some love all across the board, y'all. You can follow me, your boy Larry B, at the THEE_LB53. And of course, Jonathan at Couch Crew Chief. Show us some love, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.